still struggling? This Psalm 121 divine prayer offers your only shield for protection against all enemies and instant peace. Do you feel like your life is an uphill battle, where the weight of adversities presses harder with each passing day? Every difficulty feels like an unseen force relentlessly pushing against you, leaving you drained, defenseless, and yearning for a moment of peace, a safe harbor from the storm. Have you reached the point where you wonder if there's anything that can truly protect your heart from breaking, your mind from spiraling, and your spirit from surrendering? What if the answer lies not in something new, but in something ancient, a promise that has stood unwavering against the storms of time? Imagine a shield strong enough to protect you from every visible and invisible threat. A divine assurance that brings immediate peace into the chaos of your life. In the timeless words of Psalm 121, this shield isn't just a prayer, it's a promise of divine vigilance, a fortress of protection that never fails. In this video, you'll discover why Psalm 121 has been a beacon of protection and peace for countless generations, guiding weary souls through their fiercest battles and darkest nights. You'll learn what makes it so powerful and how to tap into its life-changing potential today. Stay with me as we uncover the profound truths embedded in its verses. Together, we will open the doors to a new way of seeing your struggles, not as insurmountable adversaries, but as stepping stones toward the peace, clarity, and strength you've been searching for. Prepare to experience a divine shield that never sleeps, falters, or fades. The power behind Psalm 121, God's watchful eyes. From the very opening of Psalm 121, we are confronted with a pressing and universal question. I lift up my eyes to the hills, where does my help come from? This is not a rhetorical question. It isn't merely poetic prose. It is the kind of cry that springs from the depths of a weary soul, shrouded in doubt, seeking some semblance of assurance. It's the question from those pressed by life, asking if there truly exists a source of help, protection, or peace when the storms of life grow too fierce. But the psalmist doesn't delay in answering this cry. The response comes swift, certain, and resounding. My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. Let the power of those words sink into your heart. The one who created the infinite expanse of the universe, who shaped the mighty mountains, who breathed life into creation itself, is the same God who offers his personal care and protection over you. His help is not distant or passive, is near and constant, filled with deliberateness and strength, rooted in divine authority. For centuries, this psalm has been regarded as a lifeline for the weary. It was often called the traveler's psalm because it was recited by those journeying through treacherous paths or uncertain terrain, invoking God's divine protection. It was whispered in the hearts of those walking into danger, prayed by those fearing the unknown, and trusted by those longing for safety. But what makes it so powerful, even in the context of our modern struggles, is that its promises are not limited to physical travel or ancient dangers. Psalm 121 speaks directly into the realities of today, into the figurative mountains we face in our day-to-day lives. Think for a moment about those metaphorical mountains that tower over you. Maybe it's fear of failure, rejection, loss, or even fear of the future itself. Perhaps it's the weight of stress from financial burdens, emotional pain, strained relationships, or the sheer exhaustion of trying to hold it all together. These modern enemies can feel overwhelming, as if their sole purpose is to erode your faith and drain your strength. But Psalm 121 steps in, declaring that the help you need doesn't come from within those struggles or somewhere unreachably, comes directly from the Lord, who created all things and holds everything in his hands. What makes this declaration even more profound is the way it emphasizes God's unending watchfulness and care. Unlike human protectors, who grow tired or distracted, Psalm 121 reveals that God is incapable of neglecting his people. He who watches over you will not slumber. Indeed, he who watches over Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. This simple yet powerful truth drives home the idea that you are never forgotten, never left vulnerable, not even for a moment. While you rest, while you fret, while you stumble in exhaustion, his divine attention remains wholly fixed on you. There is something both gentle and commanding in the phrase, "He will not let your foot slip." It suggests that God's protection is not about removing every challenge, but about securing your every step along the way. He doesn't eliminate the possibility of storms or uncertainties, but he ensures that in walking through them, you will remain steady. No obstacle can cause your foundation to crumble when the Lord preserves your footing. His presence is a stabilizing force, one that meets you in the chaos and grants you constant assurance that you are being upheld, no matter how rocky the path becomes. As you allow this truth to settle within you, consider the overarching image God gives us in his role as a keeper. This isn't just a passive or optional role, it is his identity when it comes to his people. The Lord is not a distant observer. He is the keeper of your soul, your guardian in the darkest hours, and your unwavering protector when the forces around you seem overwhelming. You are not left to fend for yourself, nor are you abandoned to face your enemies on your own. Instead, you are under the care of a God who knows you intimately and defends you relentlessly. The beauty of Psalm 121 lies in calling your attention upward, to stop focusing on the mountains as barriers and start seeing them as reminders of who created them. Lift your eyes to the hills, it says, not to find answers in the hills themselves, but to shift your gaze higher to the one who created them, the one your help comes from. This upward focus reframes your struggles, turning thoughts of limitation into promises of divine assistance. The mountains no longer look immovable. They become proof of God's power and steadfast love. There's a tender purpose in the way Psalm 121 ensures its readers understand the depth of God's vigilance over their lives. From beginning to end, it echoes with the assurances of divine protection, promising that the Lord watches over every breath, every step, and every challenge you face. He is not limited to Sundays or moments of desperate prayer. His care covers all of your comings and goings, both now and forevermore. Each moment of your existence is carefully guarded by the Maker of heaven and earth. No matter how overwhelming the mountains in your life appear, no matter how relentless the battles may feel, Psalm 121 reminds you of one undeniable truth. God's watchful care is both your shield and your strength. Why is that? Why do you still feel stuck, burdened, or under attack, even when you're praying, working hard, or doing everything you know to move forward? To fully understand the depth of what Psalm 121 offers, we must first confront the hidden enemies that subtly, yet powerfully, work against your inner peace and spiritual strength. The greatest battles are often the ones unseen, buried deep in the recesses of our minds and hearts. His eyes are always upon you, his hands are always steadying you, and his promises are always true. Lift your eyes, not in fear, but in trust, because the one who neither slumbers nor sleeps is watching over you. The hidden enemies in everyday life. As you navigate life's challenges, it can often feel like an endless battle. You strive to overcome obstacles, but they seem to multiply instead. Despite your best efforts, peace remains elusive, and the struggles persist. These battles aren't fought with swords or shields, but in the secret places where fear, doubt, and despair creep in. One of the most dangerous hidden enemies is fear of the future. Fear of being inadequate, fear of failure, fear of losing what you hold dear. Fear is paralyzing, whispering lies into your heart that convince you that no matter how hard you fight, defeat is inevitable. Closely tied to fear is doubt, another subtle but relentless enemy. It's the quiet voice that feeds your insecurities and chips away at your faith. You may wonder if God is really there or if His promises apply to you. When prayers seem unanswered and the struggle intensifies, doubt tightens its grip, turning your mind into a battlefield littered with questions and uncertainties. But the battle doesn't end there. Another hidden enemy comes in the form of toxic influences that surround your life, relationships that drain you emotionally, environments that exhaust you spiritually, or content that fills your mind with negativity instead of nourishment. These influences act as silent thieves, robbing you of the precious peace and clarity you need to rise above your struggles. They build walls around your soul, blocking your ability to see God's shield of protection clearly. And then there are the invisible but profound struggles within. Negative thought patterns latch onto your mind like chains, binding you to cycles of self-pity, anger, or resentment. Without even realizing it, you carry a weight on your spirit that was never yours to bear in the first place. These inner enemies may not make themselves obvious, but their damage is unmistakable. Over time, they erode your perseverance and obscure your sense of purpose, leaving you feeling disconnected from God, yourself, and the life you're meant to live. But perhaps the most cunning enemy is spiritual dryness, that sense of distance, when prayer feels empty, when scriptural promises seem hollow, and when God feels far away. These are the moments when you feel spiritually vulnerable, wondering whether you're fighting your battles alone. For many, this is the breaking point, a place where it's easy to feel abandoned, to believe that the struggles will never ease, and to surrender hope. What makes these enemies so difficult to face is their subtlety. They rarely announce themselves directly. They operate in the background, influencing your thoughts, energy, and decisions without you fully recognizing their power. Yet, they are enemies nonetheless, and when left unchecked, they grow stronger, feeding off one another and creating a seemingly impenetrable cycle of struggle. But this is exactly where Psalm 121 becomes your lifeline. The hidden enemies you face, fear, doubt, toxic patterns, spiritual dryness, are no match for the power of God's watchful eyes and protective hands. While these enemies thrive in secrecy, God's protection is unshakable in its clarity. This is why the psalm is so direct. The Lord will guard you from all evil. He will preserve your soul. The assurance there is paramount. Even when you can't see the hidden battles, God sees them. Even when your strength falters, His strength endures. The psalm doesn't shy away from the reality of enemies, whether physical, emotional, or spiritual, but declares boldly that none of them can overpower the care of the one who never slumbers. He is your keeper, your refuge, your shield against the seen and the unseen. This divine promise doesn't mean you won't encounter struggles. It doesn't guarantee a life without hardship. Instead, it guarantees that you don't face these enemies alone. God's protection is active, constant, and always sufficient. His watchful care breaks through the lies that fear and doubt try to plant in your mind. His presence builds walls, not to block your vision, but to shield you from harm. As you face these enemies, whether they are thoughts, people, environments, or spiritual deserts, remember that your greatest weapon is not within yourself, but within the God who surrounds you. Psalm 121 reminds us to lift our eyes, redirecting our focus from the struggle to the Savior. The hidden enemies lose their power when we shift our gaze away from them and place it firmly on the one who watches over us with unfailing love and strength. The fight may not be over, but it is not one you fight alone. These enemies thrive on isolation and insecurity, but God's presence assures you that you are protected, loved, and never forsaken. His promises stand firm, cutting through the lies of the hidden enemies and replacing them with divine truth. Lift your eyes, trust His shield of protection, and know that those who are kept by the Lord are never truly defeated. Even in struggle, you are secure. God as your keeper. Amid life's chaos and struggles, there comes a moment when everything shifts, a turning point where despair begins to give way to hope and vulnerability is replaced by the unshakable assurance of divine guidance. Psalm 121 offers us this pivotal moment, a profound revelation that changes how we see ourselves, our battles, and the God who walks alongside us. In its most central and transformative declaration, the psalm introduces God as our keeper. It's a simple word with extraordinary depth, one that redefines the way we understand protection, guidance, and unwavering care. The Lord is your keeper. The Lord is your shade at your right hand. Imagine that picture for a moment. Think of what it means to be kept by God, not loosely watched over or fleetingly guarded, but deliberately held, preserved, and defended. When the psalmist calls God our keeper, he is speaking of a protector whose attention is deeply personal, whose care is entirely intentional, and whose provision extends to every detail of our lives. You are not merely another soul among many. You are individually known, treasured, and kept. This truth becomes even more profound when paired with the image of shade. To say that the Lord is your shade at your right hand speaks of an intimate nearness, a closeness that never wavers. Shade is not something that can exist from a distance. It requires proximity, requiring the keeper to stand by you in every moment, shielding you from the burning heat of life's trials. Whether the blazing sun represents overwhelming stress, pressure, or fear, God's protection forms a barrier, keeping you secure in His presence. The role of a keeper suggests not just protection, but also stewardship. God is not simply shielding you from harm, but actively walking with you, guiding your steps, and attending to the needs of your soul. There are no forgotten moments with Him. No matter how chaotic or insignificant a situation might seem, nothing escapes His watchful care. His protection isn't reactive or conditional, it is constant, fully in place before the battle even begins. This is why the psalm declares with such power, "The Lord will guard your going out and your coming in." Every step of your journey, from the simplest of moments to the most life-altering decisions, is surrounded by God's divine presence. Yet, this turning point isn't only about physical protection or external dangers. It is also deeply tied to what God keeps within you. More than guarding your circumstances, God guards your soul, the essence of who you are. There may be days when you feel like everything around you is crumbling. But Psalm 121 reminds us that the strength of your soul does not rely on those external circumstances. It rests in the hands of a faithful keeper who ensures that, no matter what you face, the core of who you are remains intact and unshaken. In a world that often feels unpredictable and overwhelming, this promise offers a kind of peace that few can comprehend. The storms of life may rage, fear may creep at the edges of your heart, but to know that God is your keeper means that nothing can separate you from the safety of His grasp. Your struggles may feel monumental, but they are never beyond His reach. He watches over your life with the same care and precision with which He placed every star in the sky, every grain of sand on the shore, and every breath in your lungs. Psalm 121 also challenges us to embrace a new perspective on uncertainty. While the human instinct is to fear what lies ahead, this psalm provides a reminder that uncertainty is not an indication of abandonment. It is, instead, an opportunity to trust the Keeper who sees what you cannot. He doesn't just exist in the present moment. His protection stretches into the future, ensuring that your steps are guarded even when the path ahead seems unclear. Whatever unknowns you are facing, financial difficulties, broken relationships, or unanswered prayers, God is already there, keeping you steady as you move forward. The sun shall not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. This passage speaks to the completeness of God's care. It encompasses every aspect of your life, both seen and unseen, every hour of every day. There is no period of exposure. There is no space left vulnerable. While the sun and moon may set and rise, God's protection stands as a constant over your life, day and night. When life's uncertainties threaten to overwhelm, this is the truth that defines the turning point. You are never without God's presence, and you are never beyond His reach. Perhaps the most transformative aspect of Psalm 121 is that it shifts the burden away from you entirely. The responsibility for your protection, preservation, and peace doesn't rest on your own strength, wisdom, or efforts. It rests on the Keeper, whose abilities are limitless and whose love for you is unfailing. This is a turning point that liberates your soul, to release the weight of control and entrust your life fully to the one who never falters. When fear whispers lies, when doubt clouds your mind, and when struggles seem undefeatable, allow this truth to take root in your heart. The Lord is your keeper. He stands beside you, shields you with His shade, guards your every step, and ensures that your soul remains unharmed. This isn't just poetic language or a distant promise, it's a reality that has the power to change how you live each day. In God's care, you are no longer defined by your struggles, but by the security of His protection. Lift your eyes once more, not to the weight of your burdens, but to the one who watches over you with unwavering attention. There lies your turning point. The moment you release fear into the hands of the Keeper who never sleeps and never leaves. This is the God who keeps you, now and forevermore, a shield for every area of life. Psalm 121 unveils an extraordinary truth. God's protection is not confined to one part of your life. It stretches across every moment, surrounds every aspect, and meets you exactly where you need it most. This divine shield doesn't just defend you against the obvious struggles. It is intentionally designed to protect you in the seen and unseen, the physical and spiritual, the external pressures and the silent battles within. To understand the depth of God's care, as revealed in this psalm, we must explore how His shield extends across every area of your life. First, there is the most visible kind of protection, from physical harm. The Lord will keep you from all harm carries with it a reassuring promise that speaks directly to the fears we carry about our well-being. Illness, accidents, and dangers too numerous to predict or control can make us feel vulnerable, as if we are always just one moment away from disaster. But God declares through this psalm that He is your ultimate protector, watching over you with unceasing vigilance. His shield protects not only during extraordinary events, but in the quiet hours of daily life. Whether you're driving down a busy road, facing a sudden health scare, or walking into an unpredictable situation, God's hands are there, steadying, guiding, and ensuring that nothing happens outside His sovereign control. But Psalm 121 reaches far beyond the physical. God's shield also defends you from the relentless attacks on your emotional well-being. Life is full of heartbreaks, betrayals, rejections, and disappointments, all of which can leave scars that run deep within you. The emotional wounds inflicted by loved ones or harsh circumstances can feel just as devastating as physical harm, leaving your inner world in turmoil. Yet, God promises to be your shade, always at your side to provide rest and renewal. He knows the silent tears you cry, the heaviness that weighs on your heart, and the moments when you feel defeated. His protection isn't limited to keeping you safe from external threats. It actively preserves the peace of your soul, even amid emotional storms. Then there are the spiritual battles, those moments of temptation, guilt, or doubt that test your faith and draw you away from God's presence. They may not be as visible as your day-to-day situations, but they are just as real, perhaps even more dangerous. In these moments, you need a shield not against the physical world, but against the forces threatening to separate you from your faith. This psalm promises that God doesn't just guard your body or emotions, He guards your soul itself. He preserves your connection to Him, ensuring that even when you falter, He will not let you slip beyond repair. That shield is a spiritual refuge, reminding you that no sin, no regret, and no moment of weakness is greater than God's loving protection. Imagine being shielded not only from the chaos around you, but also from the chaos within you. Negative thoughts, feelings of unworthiness, and the inner struggles that whisper lies into your heart are all under God's protection. He guards the battlefield of your mind with the same strength and precision that He uses to guard your footsteps. When the psalm says, He will not let your foot slip, it's not just about literal movement, it's about every area of your life where stability feels out of reach. Whether it's a wavering sense of purpose, a relationship on the verge of collapse, or a dream that seems impossible to achieve, God steadies you, ensuring that life's uncertainties won't destroy your innermost self. God's shield isn't passive or temporary. It doesn't adapt based on what you've earned or how perfectly you've lived. It is active, unrelenting, and entirely independent of your circumstances or abilities. The Lord's protection isn't structured around whether the journey before you is smooth or treacherous. It simply surrounds you, no matter the terrain. Think of those words, "The Lord will watch over your coming and going, both now and forevermore." This declaration isn't just about key moments in your life, it's about all of it. Every decision, every transition, every moment of joy, and every season of pain. From the mundane to the monumental, His shield is over you. What makes this protection so remarkable is the intimacy with which it operates. God's shield isn't a distant force applied impersonally. It is near, consistent, and personal. He knows which areas of your life need defending before you even do. He shields you from dangers you never perceived, blesses you with opportunities you thought were out of reach, and provides you with strength in moments you assumed you couldn't take another step. His protection is as precise as it is unyielding. As you reflect on these layers of protection, consider how they intersect in the moments you feel most alone, afraid, or overwhelmed. Whether your battles are visible and external, like struggles with finances or physical danger, or hidden deep within your heart, like unresolved pain or spiritual doubt, God's promise in Psalm 121 stands firm. He is your keeper, your refuge, your ever-present protector. His shield provides for all of you, body, heart, mind, and soul, ensuring that no area of your life is left exposed. The truth of Psalm 121 is clear. No part of your life lies beyond the reach of God's care. You are protected not just by His power, but by His love, a love that deeply desires your preservation and peace in every corner of your existence. If you let these promises take root in your heart, you'll find that no struggle can overpower the security of God's presence. His shield is yours, covering every step, every fear, and every battle, both now and forevermore. How God's promises bring inner peace. In a world driven by stress, anxiety, and constant uncertainty, finding a source of genuine peace can feel like an endless search. Yet, Psalm 121 presents us with a promise that transcends human limitations. Divine assurance that not only guards your life, but calms your soul. Still, some may wonder, how does faith in God's promises bring tangible peace? How do verses written thousands of years ago maintain relevance in modern life, especially as we face challenges that often feel overwhelming? Here's the remarkable truth. Science and faith intersect more than we might realize, revealing profound insights into how God's promises in Psalm 121 truly affect your mind, body, and soul. Faith isn't just about belief, has measurable effects on the human brain. When the psalmist says, "The Lord is your keeper," it's not only a spiritual promise, but also an idea that fosters psychological security. Studies show that faith practices like prayer and meditation have a direct impact on the brain's functioning, specifically in areas connected to stress and emotional regulation. By focusing your mind on the truths in Psalm 121, you engage in what neuroscience calls mindfulness, a practice that helps the brain reduce the fight-or-flight response associated with fear and anxiety. Through prayer, God's promises saturate your thoughts, calming the storm of negativity and refocusing your mind on His unshakable care. Physiologically, prayers and affirmations of faith release neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin, the feel-good chemicals your brain needs to feel peace and contentment. Psalm 121, in its poetic reassurance, achieves something incredibly powerful. It not only reminds you of God's protection, but rewires your cognitive focus. Instead of fixating on fear, your brain shifts toward gratitude and trust, fostering the deep peace that comes when you know you are safe in God's hands. While problems may not disappear instantly, your perception of them changes, giving you clarity and emotional resilience. The promise that He who watches over you will not slumber tells your brain a fundamental truth. You are not alone, and you are not in control, God is. But the influence of faith on peace isn't restricted to the brain. Your body responds as well. Anxiety, when left unchecked, can wreak havoc on your physical health, elevating cortisol levels, weakening your immune system, and causing fatigue. By meditating on the words of Scripture, such as "The Lord will keep you from harm," He will watch over your life, your body begins to relax. The theological truth becomes a biological bomb, signaling to your body that it can step back from constant vigilance because you are protected by a higher power. Many people live in a perpetual state of stress, bracing themselves for the next hardship. But the promises of Psalm 121 act as a signal that it's safe to let go. Just as a sentinel stands guard over a city, relieving citizens of the need to constantly look over their shoulders, God's watch over your life relieves your body of the burden of constant tension. The intersection between faith and science becomes even clearer when we consider how gratitude plays a role in mental and emotional health. Psalm 121 inspires a sense of thankfulness for the divine care offered freely to those who trust in God. Gratitude itself is transformative. It shifts your perspective away from what's wrong and directs your heart toward what's good. Neuroscientists have found that regularly practicing gratitude significantly increases happiness, reduces symptoms of depression, and improves long-term emotional balance. Each time you thank God for His protection, acknowledging that He neither slumbers nor sleeps, you deepen this practice of gratitude, which in turn strengthens your ability to face challenges with peace and confidence. This isn't merely psychological trickery, it's a deliberate response to the reality of God's promises. When the psalm says, "The Lord will watch over your coming and going, both now and forevermore," it isn't an abstract reassurance. It's a call to anchor yourself in trust. That trust rewires your brain and lifts your spirit because it is grounded in the truth of who God is and what He has done. When you build this daily awareness into your faith journey, you aren't just calming temporary feelings of panic, you're transforming your mindset to align with divine truth. Many people struggle to find solace in fleeting distractions, entertainment, possessions, or external success, but these things inevitably fail to satisfy. Faith, however, provides a lasting peace because it is directed toward the eternal. Science even supports this. Those who practice consistent faith-based activities report lower levels of chronic stress, better mental clarity, and longer-term optimism compared to those who don't. Psalm 121 teaches you to direct your focus to the Creator of all things, lifting your mind and soul from temporary limitations to eternal truths. This shift in focus reminds you that the strength of your peace isn't rooted in what's happening around you, but in the God who watches over you unfailingly. One powerful aspect of this peace is how it empowers you to face adversity. Walking through struggles doesn't mean fear disappears completely, but faith gives you the tools to confront challenges without being consumed by them. By meditating on Psalm 121, you can face difficulties with the knowledge that God's shield of protection is firmly in place. The peace that follows isn't passive, it's active, fostering strength and courage to walk forward despite what's coming against you. This combination of divine promises and physiological benefits equips you to thrive even in the midst of trials. Even modern psychology acknowledges the power of belief to transform our inner world. Therapists often work with clients to replace negative thought patterns with affirmations of truth. Scripture carries this concept further. Psalm 121 is more than an affirmation, it's divine truth spoken over your life. Every word embodies God's active work to protect, guide, and restore you. When struggles feel insurmountable, you can return to this unchanging promise. My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. That one phrase alone holds the power to reframe fear entirely, replacing frantic energy with calm assurance. Psalm 121 is a timeless spiritual tool, offering peace backed by both divine authority and modern evidence of faith's impact on your well-being. It bridges the physical and spiritual, the scientific and eternal. With each repetition of its verses, you are reminded not only of God's faithfulness, but also of your ability to live with a mind at rest, a body that feels lighter, and a heart trusting in the promise of unwavering protection. A guided reflection on Psalm 121. Pause for a moment. Close your eyes and let the words of Psalm 121 come alive in your soul. Too often, the struggles of the day grab hold of your thoughts, pulling you into a spiral of worry and fear. But in this moment, there's an opportunity to do something different. Instead of letting the noise overwhelm you, quiet your mind and allow these timeless words to penetrate the deepest parts of your being. I lift up my eyes to the mountains. Where does my help come from? Picture yourself at the bottom of a mountain path, looking up at its vast and seemingly insurmountable height. The climb ahead feels exhausting, overwhelming, and impossible to conquer. Maybe this mountain represents the anxieties that greet you every morning. Maybe it's the pain you've carried silently for years, the doubts that gnaw at your faith, or the responsibilities that weigh heavier than you can bear. In your own strength, the climb seems impossible. But now, let your heart rest on the answer to that pressing question. My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. Take a deep breath. The mountain in front of you, no matter how massive or intimidating, exists under the authority of the one who formed it. Every rock, every winding path, and every obstacle is within the hands of the Creator of heaven and earth. Imagine looking beyond the summit of the mountain, beyond the struggle itself, and catching a glimpse of the divine power that surpasses it all. This is not empty optimism. This is unshakable truth. God, the maker of all things, is personally involved in your life. He is your help, your strength, and your refuge, and He stands ready to guide you every step of the way. Let the next assurance of the psalm seep into your spirit. He will not let your foot slip. Reflect on what it means to be upheld by God's relentless care. Life often feels like a narrow and dangerous path, full of missteps and uncertainties that could send you falling. Your footing may feel unsteady, but God's hands are always beneath you. He doesn't just watch from afar. He steadies you as you move forward, ensuring that no challenge will overwhelm His power to sustain you. Repeat this truth in your heart. The Lord is my keeper. He will not let me fall. The next verse reveals an incredible truth about the nature of God's protection. He who watches over you will not slumber. Indeed, He who watches over Israel will neither slumber nor sleep. Imagine a guard standing watch over a vulnerable city, someone who can never let down their guard. Unlike humans who grow tired or distracted, God's focus on your life is unwavering. Day and night, He is your protector, your steady presence. Rest in the knowledge that, even when you are at your most tired and fragile, when your strength fails you completely, He remains vigilant. Close your eyes and picture God standing watch over you, not with judgment or frustration, but with intense love and care, shielding you from harm, pursuing you with His grace, and meeting you wherever you need Him most. As the next line declares, the Lord is your shade at your right hand. The sun shall not harm you by day, nor the moon by night. Reflect on this image of God as your shade, your refuge, your sanctuary, and your constant protection. Day and night, no matter where you are or what challenges come your way, His shield is with you. Think about the times you felt exposed, vulnerable to the harshness of life's struggles. Now imagine standing under a canopy of divine protection, where the heat of the day and the chill of the night can no longer reach you. God doesn't remove the challenges from the world, but He protects you from being consumed by them. The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life. Let these words of reassurance settle deep within your heart. They are not empty promises. They are the blueprint of God's faithfulness toward you. He sees the threats you cannot see: physical threats, emotional wounds, spiritual attacks, and He stands guard over your life with unrelenting love. Imagine yourself held in His hands, where no harm can reach your soul, no matter how fierce the storm outside becomes. With the culmination of the psalm comes one of the most profound assurances. The Lord will watch over your coming and going, both now and forevermore. Take a moment to reflect on all the times in your life when you were unaware of His guidance. How many obstacles did He redirect you from that you will never know about? How many times did He steady you before a fall you didn't see coming? Just as He has watched over you in the past, He will continue to guide you in the future. Picture the paths you've yet to walk and know that God's watchful eyes are already ahead of you, preparing the way. Now, whisper these words into your heart as a prayer. God, I lift my eyes to you. I trust your promises, and I rest in your protection. Be my keeper, my shield, and my refuge. I trust you to guard my every step, my every breath, and my very soul. In this reflection, realize that peace isn't something you have to strive for. It's already there, provided by the one who neither slumbers nor sleeps. What Psalm 121 gives you is not just words, but an invitation to live differently, to climb your mountains with hope, to face your fears with faith, and to rest each evening knowing that you are constantly guarded by the watchful keeper of your soul. How to make Psalm 121 a living prayer. Psalm 121 is more than just a beautiful piece of scripture. It is an active, living promise that can become a foundation for your daily life. But how does this psalm shift from being inspiring words on a page to a practical shield for the challenges you face each day? The truth is, God's promises are not distant truths meant to be remembered only in moments of crisis. They are intended to be carried with you, repeated, meditated upon, and woven into the rhythms of your life. Psalm 121 offers not just abstract hope, but also a deeply personal tool for finding peace and protection in the middle of life's chaos. No matter how overwhelming your circumstances may seem, the first step in making Psalm 121 a true daily shield is to turn its powerful words into a morning prayer. Mornings are where the tone of the day is often set, where the burdens and worries of yesterday still linger, blending with uncertainties about the hours ahead. As you wake each morning, speak this psalm aloud or whisper it into your heart. Begin with the thought that defines the entire chapter. I lift up my eyes to the mountains, where does my help come from? Use it as a reminder to reframe your perspective for what lies ahead. Before the stress of the day begins to cloud your mind, fix your gaze upward, directing your attention to the one who promises to guard your steps. This intentional act of focusing on God's promises at the start of your day establishes a mindset of trust, anchoring your heart before life's distractions can lead it astray. A powerful addition to this daily practice is journaling your immediate thoughts and concerns as part of your reflection on Psalm 121. Take time to write down the mountains you're facing, those challenges that seem insurmountable, the fears that threaten your peace, the responsibilities that weigh heavy on your soul. Then, for each mountain, write the corresponding truth from this psalm. For example, if you feel overwhelmed by the fear of failure, reflect on the words, "He will not let your foot slip." If you're consumed by loneliness, meditate on the line, "The Lord is your shade at your right hand." By pairing your struggles with promises of divine care, you actively replace fear with trust and faith. This exercise isn't only about organizing your thoughts. It's about arming yourself with spiritual tools to face your day with confidence, knowing that God's promises are bigger than your circumstances. As your day progresses, Psalm 121 can serve as a practical mental shield in moments of anxiety, doubt, or uncertainty. Modern life is full of moments that push your peace to its limits: an overwhelming workday, an unexpected conflict, bad news that shakes your heart with fear. These moments are precisely where Psalm 121 becomes your refuge. When life begins to feel chaotic, take a moment to pause, close your eyes, and internally repeat the words, "My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth." Let it ground you, pulling your thoughts away from the spiral of worry and back to the simple truth that your life is held securely in God's care. You can face any situation knowing that the weight of the outcome does not rest fully on your shoulders, rests with the keeper who is protecting and guiding you. Incorporating Psalm 121 into your day can also take the form of short prayers tied to specific moments of transition. Before you step into a new task, say a silent prayer, "Lord, guard my steps." When you feel doubt creeping in before an important conversation or decision, whisper to yourself, He will not let my foot slip. By tying the truths of Psalm 121 to specific parts of your day, you integrate God's promises into both significant and ordinary moments. This habit not only deepens your spiritual awareness, but also reminds you that no moment is too small for God's protection to be active in your life. Even as the day draws to an end, Psalm 121 remains a powerful tool for anchoring your heart in peace. Nighttime can bring a different kind of struggle, as fears and doubts resurface in the quiet, or the uncertainty of the future feels even heavier. But the psalm reminds us, "He who watches over you will neither slumber nor sleep." This truth assures you that God is standing guard over your life, even as you rest. End your day with this scripture, letting its words serve as a bridge between waking worries and the peace of sleep. Speak it over yourself, over your family, over your loved ones, and rest assured that even as you close your eyes, God's vigilance remains constant. Beyond prayer and reflection, there is also great power in embodying the truths of this psalm through acts of faith. Trusting in God's protection doesn't mean living recklessly, hoping for intervention when things go wrong. It means moving through life intentionally, knowing that you have nothing to fear. When you anchor your daily routines in the promise that the Lord will watch over your coming and going, both now and forevermore, you can step boldly into challenges rather than avoiding them. Psalm 121 reminds you that even if you walk into difficulty, you do so with a divine shield around you. Live with the courage and assurance this truth brings. Making Psalm 121 a living prayer also means sharing its message with others. As you experience the peace and strength this psalm offers, extend that hope to the people around you. Speak it into moments where others may feel lost or afraid. Show them, through your words and actions, what it looks like to live unshaken by worry, fully trusting in a God who watches over every detail of your life. Let your life itself, grounded in faith and protected by His promises, be a testimony of God's unfailing faithfulness. Daily life will always bring its share of battles, stress, and moments of uncertainty. But when you let Psalm 121 become a constant in your routine, those challenges lose their power to overwhelm you. By turning these words into an active, intentional practice of faith, you create an unshakable inner fortress. Your help comes from the Maker of heaven and earth. Your steps are guarded, your sleep is safe, and your soul is preserved. Each day, as you lift your eyes to the mountains, you'll do so not with fear, but with unwavering confidence that the Lord is your keeper, both now and forevermore. Testimonies of divine protection throughout history. Psalm 121 has not only been a source of comfort, but a weapon of faith for those who found themselves in the fiercest battles of life. Its promises have carried countless people through unthinkable trials, offering peace and protection in ways that are nothing short of miraculous. These testimonies, whether personal or shared by others, reveal the undeniable power of God's faithfulness and serve as living proof that His protection is active, unchanging, and real. Imagine a single mother struggling to make it through the day. Each morning, she wakes up overwhelmed by the weight of her responsibilities, bills to pay, children to care for, a job that barely provides enough to keep the lights on. Fear threatens to break her every time she looks at her circumstances. But there's one verse she's clung to every single morning: "The Lord will watch over your coming and going, both now and forevermore." She recites it as her children leave for school, as she clocks in at work, and as she pours her heart out in prayer at night. One day, an unexpected financial blessing, a razor debt erased, groceries paid for, a stranger stepping in to lighten her burden. For her, these moments aren't coincidences. They remind her of the unseen but ever watchful keeper who guards her life. Another story comes from a man standing on the edge of despair. His entire world collapsed in the span of months. He lost his job, his health began to fail, and he felt abandoned by everyone he relied on. One sleepless night, while his mind raced with thoughts of regret and fear, he happened to stumble upon the simple words of Psalm 121. Intrigued and desperate, he began to read it aloud. The words, "He who watches over you will not slumber," brought tears to his eyes. For the first time in weeks, he felt something deeper than the chaos. Assurance, choosing to trust instead of worry. He began to pray this psalm daily, though his circumstances didn't change overnight. Doors began to open. A friend connected him with new opportunities. His health gradually improved, and he rediscovered a strength he thought was lost. He would later describe this season as the time when God showed him what it meant to be truly kept. Then there's the story of someone traveling through literal danger. A woman on a humanitarian mission in a region plagued by instability had made Psalm 121 her constant companion. The remote roads she traveled were often unpaved and treacherous, and the possibility of harm lingered on every journey she made. Yet, each time she stepped into the car, she prayed, "The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life." One day, faced with an unexpected detour that left the group in an unfamiliar area, she found her spirit oddly calm despite the uncertainty. Hours later, she learned their original route had become dangerous due to events that unfolded shortly after they left. They had unknowingly been diverted from harm. To her, this was more than luck. It was the fulfillment of a promise made by the one who neither slumbers nor sleeps. But these examples aren't limited to people in extreme situations. God's protection is also evident in the ordinary, quiet moments that are easy to overlook. A young student studying for exams finds resolve and focus by contemplating the verse, "He will not let your foot slip." A father who feels the weight of providing for his family takes solace in the assurance that the Lord is your shade at your right hand, knowing that he is not alone in his efforts. These are the subtle but profound ways God continually guides and protects his people, moment by moment. One of the most striking aspects of these testimonies is how deeply personal they are. Psalm 121 is not a general promise for an abstract group of people. It's for you. No matter what mountain you face, what valley you're walking through, or what unseen dangers lie ahead, this psalm meets you exactly where you are. Its words embody the intimate care of a God who not only sees your struggles, but intervenes directly in miraculous and specific ways, filling the gaps you thought were impossible to bridge. Another element that these testimonies reveal is the transformative power of trust. The promises of Psalm 121 are only fully realized when you open your heart to them. It's not just about reciting the words out loud, it's about choosing to believe them, even when your circumstances seem to contradict them. It's about saying, "Lord, I trust that you will guard my going out and coming in," and then taking the next step, no matter how uncertain it feels. Faith activates hope, and hope invites the kind of peace that surpasses logic or explanation. Still, there may be moments in your life when God's protection doesn't look the way you expected. Testimonies of divine care don't always include stories of immediate or dramatic deliverance. They also include instances of unseen protection. Perhaps there was a road you didn't take, an opportunity you thought you missed, or a season of waiting that tested your patience. In hindsight, you see that those delays were actually divine interventions, preserving you from harm or shaping your character for what was to come. This too is God's keeping, not always preventing hardship, but ensuring it doesn't destroy you. and using every circumstance to strengthen and grow you. These stories, though they differ in details, all point to a singular truth. Psalm 121 is alive and active. Its promises are not confined to the pages of Scripture. They are tangible, relevant, and dependable in every season and circumstance. They remind us that while we may not control the storms of life, we belong to the one who does. Let these testimonies stir something within you, a desire to trust God's promises, no matter how insurmountable your current trials may seem. Lift your eyes, not to your struggles, but to the one who created the mountains and guards your every step. And as you experience his protection firsthand, remember to share your story, so others may find the same peace and assurance in God's enduring faithfulness. Trusting God's timing, protection in the waiting. One of the most difficult things we face in life is waiting. There's an undeniable tension in the gap between what we hope for and seeing it come to pass. Between praying for protection and feeling like it hasn't yet arrived. Between asking for guidance and waiting for doors to open. In these moments, it's so easy to feel alone, unprotected, and forgotten. You may wonder why God allows delays or why his shield of protection doesn't seem immediate. But Psalm 121 reminds us that while we might not fully understand the timing of his work, his care is never delayed, his promises are never broken, and his watchfulness remains unceasing. Even in the waiting, you are protected. When the psalmist declares, "He who watches over you will neither slumber nor sleep," he is reminding us that God's care does not operate on our schedules. While we sleep, he is still working. In fact, God's timing is one of the clearest demonstrations of his faithfulness and wisdom in our lives. Imagine planting a seed, then growing frustrated because the plant doesn't sprout the very next day. What we fail to consider in those moments is the intricate, unseen work happening underground, roots forming, groundwork being laid, growth that is entirely invisible to the human eye at first. Waiting for that seed to sprout is trust in motion, and faith in God's timing is no different. While you wait, he is already working on your behalf, preparing the breakthrough, the protection, or the blessing needed for the next stage of your life. But what about the times when waiting is filled with trials? It's in the seasons of delay that fear, doubt, and frustration often gain a foothold. These emotions whisper lies that threaten to undermine the promises of God and weaken your faith. Perhaps you've waited for healing that hasn't come, for a financial burden to be lifted, or for clarity in the midst of chaos. In those moments, it's natural to feel as though God's protection has failed. But Psalm 121 assures us that God's timing doesn't abandon you to harm. It ensures that what happens in your life aligns perfectly with his plan, designed specifically for your ultimate good. Your waiting is never wasted. It is a space where God protects and prepares both your situation and your heart. It's important to remember that God's shield of protection isn't just about stopping visible dangers. It's about guiding you through the unseen ones too. You may feel frustrated about the delays in life, but what if those delays are part of his protection? Perhaps the road you're eager to walk is filled with dangers you can't yet see. As much as you long to move forward, God, in his endless care, may be holding you back for reasons you cannot yet understand. He will not let your foot slip is more than a reassurance that you won't stumble. A promise that he will divert you, stop you, or delay you if a path leads to harm. Picture this: a child rushing excitedly toward a busy street, oblivious to the oncoming traffic. A loving parent doesn't hesitate. They grab the child's hand and pull them back, even though the child may cry in frustration, not understanding that the delay is for their safety. In the same way, God protects not only where you are, but also how and when you move forward. What sometimes feels like a frustrating delay or a missed opportunity might actually be his shield, sparing you from dangers you don't yet see. Psalm 121 also declares, "The Lord will keep you from all harm." This promise invites us to examine how we define harm in the broader picture of God's eternal purposes. From our human perspective, harm often looks like anything painful, inconvenient, or unpleasant. But God, in His infinite wisdom, sees harm differently. He sees not only the immediate effects of our challenges, but their eternal outcomes. Some trials, though deeply uncomfortable, are refining and strengthening us in ways that ultimately shield us from greater spiritual harm. What we might call delays or even disappointments are often the very things God uses to position us for victories we cannot yet see. Waiting tests our faith. It stretches us, sometimes to what feels like a breaking point. Yet, it's often in the waiting that we discover the depth of what it means to trust God as our keeper. It means trusting Him to protect us, not just from what we know, but from what we don't know. It means believing His promises, even when we don't yet see their fulfillment. It means resting in the knowledge that His timing is perfect, not early, not late, but precisely when it needs to be. Waiting also reveals our dependence on Him. It strips away the illusion that we are in control and reminds us that our help comes from Him, the Maker of heaven and earth. In those in-between moments of doubt and struggle, returning to the words of Psalm 121 shifts your perspective. Lift your eyes, not to the obstacles or the ticking clock, but to the One who never sleeps, never forgets, and never allows harm without purpose. Each time you recite these verses in the waiting, they remind you that God's protection is active, deliberate, and constant. If you're in a season of waiting right now, rest in this assurance. God's watchful care holds you. While you may not yet see the full extent of His plan, you are covered by His shield. The Lord goes before you, stands beside you, and watches over you, even in the quiet spaces of delay. Your waiting will not be wasted. Trust that His timing is as much an act of protection as His shield itself. And so, as you lift your eyes to the mountains, let the struggle of waiting be transformed into an act of faith. For the help you need, both now and forever, comes from the Lord. Trust that every second of waiting is part of His perfect, protective plan for your life, and know that in His timing, the promises of Psalm 121 will become the living, breathing reality of your journey, the prayer that shields you forever. As we come to the culmination of this life-changing journey through Psalm 121, there is a powerful truth that must echo in your heart. This psalm is not just an ancient promise. It is an active shield that you can carry every day of your life. Its words are alive, offering unfailing protection, peace, and strength when nothing else can. But the question remains, will you take this shield into your life, or will you leave it untouched? This is the moment where you're invited to embody the promises of Psalm 121, not just as comforting words, but as a lifeline anchoring you to the keeper of your soul. The power of Psalm 121 isn't meant to exist in silence. It must be declared, prayed, and personalized until it becomes part of your deepest being. This is where transformation begins, not just in reading the words, but in speaking them with conviction. Allow this prayer, inspired by the verses of Psalm 121, to be your constant guide. Speak it from the depths of your soul, not once, but daily, letting it remind you of God's unchanging love and protection. Lord, I lift my eyes to you, the Maker of heaven and earth. In my deepest struggles and moments of fear, I declare that my help comes from you alone. You are my keeper, my protector, and the one who shields me from harm. You do not waver, you do not sleep, and you do not leave me vulnerable. When I feel weak, you steady my feet, ensuring I do not fall. When the weight of worry bears down on me, you surround me with your peace, shielding me from the chaos of this world. Lord, you are my shade at my right hand. No matter what challenges or dangers I face, I know they cannot overtake me because I am under your protection. Whether it is the heat of the day that exhausts me or the shadows of the night that bring fear, you are my refuge and my safety. You, Lord, guard my coming and going. You see every detail of my life, every path I take, every road I traverse, and you guide me with a love that never fails. You go before me into every unknown I face, and you remain beside me through every trial. Today, I choose to live, not in fear, but in the truth of your promises. You are my keeper now and forevermore. I trust you with my heart, my mind, my body, and my soul. Amen. This is more than a prayer, it is a declaration of trust and surrender, an acknowledgement that you are held securely in the hands of the one who neither slumbers nor sleeps. Use this prayer daily. Let it be the first thing you speak each morning, setting the tone for a life lived in faith rather than fear. Let it be the final thing you say each night, placing your worries in God's hands before you rest. And let it be your shield in the moments that feel overwhelming and uncertain, steadying your heart when all else seems to falter. Psalm 121 calls us to a life of intentionality, where we actively place our reliance on God. It begins with a choice to lift our eyes away from the weight of our problems, away from the noisy distractions of this world, and toward His eternal promises. This choice, to focus on Him, becomes a daily act of faith that transforms the way you experience life's challenges. Every time you declare its words, you are reminding yourself and the world around you that God's authority is over all things, and His care for you is without limits. Beyond your personal prayers, there is another call embedded in this psalm, to share its promises with others. Perhaps you know someone right now who feels as though they are facing life's battles alone. Maybe they are weighed down by fear, struggling in silence, or overwhelmed by burdens they cannot bear. They, too, need the assurance of a keeper who never leaves. Share the truths of Psalm 121 with them. Tell them there is a God who watches over their coming and going, who guards their soul, and who remains vigilant over every step of their journey. Point them to this divine promise and watch how God works through your faith to bring peace and hope into their life. When you live in the power of Psalm 121, it not only transforms your heart, but becomes a ripple of hope that touches everyone around you. As you choose to trust in God's protection, your life becomes a testament to His unfailing faithfulness. Your peace in the midst of chaos, your confidence in uncertain times, and your unwavering faith in the face of trials become an invitation for others to lift their eyes as well. Your story, authored by the promises of God, has the power to inspire others to trust in Him. Right now, take this final truth with you. Psalm 121 belongs not just to the pages of Scripture, but to your everyday life. The Lord is your keeper, not just in moments of crisis, but in the smallest, quietest details of your existence. Whether you are walking through seasons of blessing or weathering storms of trial, the promise never changes. He is with you, shielding you, guiding you, and holding you steady. And so, as you step into your next challenge, your next season of uncertainty, or even your everyday routines, hold this shield in your heart. The Lord will watch over your coming and going, both now and forevermore. These are not empty words, they are the very foundation upon which to build a life of peace, faith, and resilience. This is your call to action, not just to believe, but to live in the light of Psalm 121. Let it be your daily shield, your prayer, your declaration, and your testimony to the world. Trust this divine promise with all that you are, and you will find peace that truly surpasses understanding. Share it, live it, and above all, carry it with you as an eternal reminder of the Keeper who never leaves your side. A shield has been offered, take it, and lift your eyes. Your help comes from the Lord.